Hey everyone, apologies that I didn't get on here last week for our knitting live session. We just had lots going on last week, and as you'll see from the video that I show you today, there's a fair bit of work needed to prepare everything. So that's the reason why I couldn't get the time last week. But hey ho, it's now the kids' half term, so time for a little bit of catch up. I'm focusing on dyeing some wool this afternoon and this weekend, but this afternoon is all about increasing and decreasing our knitting. It'd be brilliant if any of you have practiced any knitting. If you want to post some pictures in the comments that you could see, that you can share your progress and stuff, that would be brilliant. So this video probably is a little bit advanced, so if you were looking for a beginner's video, I would recommend one of the earlier ones that I've tagged in the post earlier on. They're on the Facebook, the Cookston Crafts Facebook page, and they are now on the YouTube channel as well, so you can refer back to them whenever you like. So this one, you might recognise this piece. This was what we did a couple of weeks ago to try and keep our edges nice and flat. And today I'm going to show you various increases. I've got a wee split stitch here, but I've not gone through it properly and it's really annoying me. We're going to cover increases. So this one here is probably, this is an intentional hole. When you first start out, these sometimes appear all on their own, don't they? So this is probably the simplest way to increase the number of stitches, and that's a yarn over increase. And then a few rows up, you'll see this row that has got a little horizontal bar. Here's another one here, just a little horizontal one here, and that's another increase called knit front and back. Further up we go. I've got some stitches here, some increases. Now this one is make one left, and then this one over here is a make one right. They're sometimes in patterns called M1L and M1R, but I'll demo all of those in just a second. But I thought what we would start off with is the simplest one, which is decreases. So when we want our work to be shaped in, this is probably a nice piece to demonstrate the two different techniques that you can use. So this one here is that knit two together? No, this is the slip knit, which I'll show you in a second, and it's slanting off in this direction. And then this one here, you can see you can follow that row of stitches. This is a knit two together. So I'm going to demo with the big piece just now. Oh, I should have been on a knit row for this, for the demonstration. So I'll very quickly, I guess that gives people time to join as well. How's everyone been getting on with their knitting, those that are watching? I can see there's a few people on now. So I'm just going to purl all the way along, and we'll show you the knit two together first of all. It's probably the most simple, oh sorry, was I outshot a wee bit there? It's probably the most simple decrease stitch that you can do. You'll see it in lots of patterns, just written as K2 tog. And I think next week what we might do is put all of the things that we've learned into practice, and I will talk through following a pattern so that you can see all the abbreviations, and I will work on a little hat maybe. So we'll have some knit and purl ribbed stitches around the bottom, and then we'll also do some decreases for the brim of the hat, for the top of the head, and I'll also demo some mattress stitch, which is how to sew the edges together to get a really nice neat seam. But I thought it might be good to show you a very basic pattern with all the abbreviations and then a demo at the same time as well. Hi Anik, how are you? Right, here goes. So we're going to knit the first few, and if you haven't watched the previous videos, then I like to use Continental style, so I'm using my left hand, but the technique is exactly the same if I were using my right hand. All I'm doing is taking my left hand to pop my yarn over. I will demonstrate both for you. Right, so we're ready to make a knit 2 together. So all we're going to do is knit these 2 stitches together. So I'm going in from the front right through the back. Yarn around my needle, and again just rolling it round and pull it through. I do like to give it a little bit of a tug because sometimes there's a tendency for it to be a bit of a slacker stitch than normal. Oh, you need to catch up, but that's fine, no problem. You'll be able to pick up little bits and bobs from them. So again, I'm knitting these 2 together, so I'm going in from the front of the second stitch, but I'm going right through both of them. I hope you guys can see that okay. Wrap around, roll it around and slip it off. And again, I'm just tugging up a little bit tighter to neaten up that stitch. So this is a great way, really simple way to shape the top of hats, for example. I've got one here. It is a variegated yarn, so it's a little bit harder to see, but that is what has changed all these. You can see all these like uniform kind of stacked up stitches in rows, and then you'll start to see this shaping here, and that's just created by knitting 2 together. I'll do one more, and what you'll find is that this is knit 2 together always in the same place, so it's kind of following this row really nice and neatly, and patterns will usually work all that out for you. But I wanted to show you that your line of stitches is kind of veering off to the right hand side like that. So here's our straight stitches here, and then there's our knit 2 together. This is just a regular purl row that I've done on the opposite side. Then we've got knit 2 together here, purl row, and a knit 2 together here, and you can see how these 2 stitches are kind of sandwiched behind one another like that. There's also another technique that you can use, slip slip knit, which will get your stitches going in the opposite direction. So can be really good for toes, for example, toes on socks. So if I do that, you get the idea that you're getting a nice shape for the toes of socks. I don't think that's quite as neat as this direction, but there are different techniques that you can use. A couple of weeks ago we had a normal knit night. We have a craft night once a fortnight on a Friday. You're all welcome to join in. Complete beginners, even if you've never knitted before, you're very welcome to join us and join our chat. But someone asked, how do you do a slip slip knit? And there's quite a lot of experienced knitters on there, and between maybe, I think there was about 12 or 14 of us, we had 3 different answers. So I think as long as you're consistent, you do whatever you prefer. I like to slip the first one knitwise. Now normally, we covered this in a video a couple of weeks ago, whenever a pattern tells you to slip, unless it's stated otherwise, you would always slip it purlwise. However, I like to slip it knitwise, this direction, the first one. So I've slipped and then slip my second one purlwise. I just think it lies flatter and it makes for a neater stitch. So neither of these 2 have been worked yet. And I'm going to take my left needle up through the front of them, wrap my yarn over and pull it through. And you can see there that one, I mean, it'll take a few rows to demonstrate fully, but it's going to go in this direction, so it's going to veer off to the left hand side. I'll do that again. So we slip knitwise, slip purlwise, pop that needle up through the front of both of them, wrap the yarn around and pull it through. Now you can do slip, slip, and then knit. But I think that there twists that stitch ever so slightly. Doesn't matter, you can do whichever way you like, as long as you're consistent with it. Slip, slip, knit. Is everyone following okay with me doing it with my left? Do you want me to show you me doing it with my right hand as well so that you can see that? Let me just answer my own question and everyone will probably say yeah. So slip the first one knitwise, second one purlwise, left needle up through the front, and then this is my working yarn here, going around the needle and up, through and off. So there we go. That is the two basic decrease stitches that I would use. Sometimes you will get patterns that will say knit 3 together, and that's just exactly the same as if you were knitting 2 together. It is a little bit harder because obviously you've got more stitches to go through, but you just knit through all 3 of them. Brute strength. There we go. So that's going to decrease your amount of stitches faster by doing a knit 3 together. Right. If anyone has any questions at all, then just shout in the comments. I've positioned my phone a little bit better this week so that I can actually read what people are commenting. Right, let's knit back across the way. So I'm knitting the first 3, which helps keep my edges nice and flat. And then I'm going to purl the rest of the stitches all the way along. If you do want a slower demonstration of the knit and purl stitches, I would suggest looking back through the previous videos. I'm kind of whizzing through this before people lose interest. So in the next row, I'm going to show you the increase stitches. And there are a few different ways to do that. I'm going to demonstrate 3. I'm going to do a yarn over, which is usually in a pattern just YO. And then I'm going to do a knit front and back, which is KFB usually. And then the third one that I'm going to show you is I make one right and I make one left, and they are usually M1R and M1L, and they're probably the ones that took me the longest to get my head around. I can never remember which way is which. Right, that's us at the end of that row. So let's demo the yarn over increase first of all, and that is what creates these little holes. So it can be a decorative kind of finish, say that was around the top of a cardigan, or maybe around the edge of a hat. I've seen people with like ribbon woven through these, and it's also how you would create buttonholes as well. Right, let's knit a few stitches. And it's just a case of wrapping our yarn around this needle like this before just carrying on and knitting the next stitch. So I'll knit a couple more, and then I'm going to bring my yarn forward so that it can wrap around that needle. And then knit the next stitch as normal. So you'll see, if I spread these out, you'll see these are knit knits. And then there's my yarn over. So it's just an extra strand. Let me demo it with my right hand too. So with my right hand, bringing the yarn forward and then holding the yarn down over the top so that we've wrapped it yarn over. And then I'm just going to knit the next stitch. So we've got our yarn in position and it's going around the needle like that. And knit. I'll knit the next one. So yarn forward. It wraps over the top of that right hand needle. And then we knit the normal stitch that comes next in the normal way, like that. Everyone's very quiet on the comments today, so let me know if I'm out of shot or if I'm going too quickly or anything. Right, we'll do another yarn over here. Oops. Hi Debbie, saying better late than never. It's fine, you can catch up. So I haven't edited any of the videos or anything, so you will hear me like talking through the comments and saying hi to people and stuff. And I know that can be a pest when you're watching it back again. So what I try to do is put date stamp or time stamps on it so that I list out exactly what minute I cover specific things. I don't know you, but I quite often fast forward video tutorials. There we go. We've knitted to the end there. So what's going to happen when we come to purl this row, I'll show you, we will have created an extra stitch. So we just treat those yarn overs, sorry, the first few are knit. Sorry. There we go. So purl. Had a few people say that they've found the Continental knitting much faster, and especially younger ones as well, just finding it a little bit easier to do. So here we go. This stitch looks different because it's our yarn over, but what I'm doing, I'm taking the needle and I'm going behind both my working yarn and I'm just going into it like I would normally purl, wrapping the yarn around. And I know that looks really weird if you are a thrower knitter. So I'm going to demo the next one from the right. And I hope that it's not too distracting when I'm jumping about from one to the other all over the shop today. Right. Purl. Purl. Hilda's saying, I was struggling with yarn over last night on a knit row. Normally it's on a purl row. Okay, I guess, yeah. You could have either, but I guess because your yarn is naturally in front anyway, your yarn over is easier. So when you're on a knit row, you have to make sure that your yarn is in front first before you do that. So here we go. I've got my yarn in front because I'm purling these stitches, and I'm just going into that as if it were a normal stitch, wrapping around and through. Right, next up, this one, do it again. So the next increase that I'm going to show you is knit front and back. And it's a really simple one. It gives a nice neat finish as well. But what you do get is a little horizontal bar that appears on the front of your work. I think if those increases are put in the right place and they're all evenly spaced out, it can look really neat, but some people don't like it for that reason. So I'm purling up to here and I'm about to knit these last stitches, and I'm going to put my yarn behind so that it's in the right position for a knit stitch. Debbie's just asking, I was watching you do the Continental knitting. I think I need a lot of practice unless the pattern was meant to be holy. It does take a bit of practice. You're a crocheter as well, so you might find that you take to Continental knitting no bother. I think that's what I liked about it the best. I felt like I had more control of my work in yarn when I hold it in my left hand. You might find the same, but it did, I mean, it took me months and months of practice to get it sussed. Yeah, so let's knit the first few stitches, and then I will show you knit front and back. In fact, let me work on a little bit so that the stitches look regular here. I'm going to knit into the front of the stitch as normal. God, that's snow on again. I'm going to roll it around, and rather than slip that off, I'm going to pull up my needle a little, and then I'm going to take the needle around, and it's going to knit through the back of the stitch that's here. I will demo this a few times, and then you knit that too. Do a normal stitch. I'll do a couple. Right, here goes. We'll knit front and back again. So we'll knit the first one. I'm kind of pulling up a little, otherwise that stitch can be too tight. So I'm pulling up a little, and I'm using the tip of my right needle, and it's going kind of diagonally across through the back. And slipping it off. And what that creates, I'm all in a tangle, my sample's getting too big. What that creates is this, you can probably see it a little bit better there, this little horizontal bump. So this stitch here will be a knit front and back. It's become, so we've got one stitch here, and then we've created this new one, and it's got this little horizontal ridge that I was speaking about. And yeah, as you can see here, I know the camera's kind of zooming in and out here, focus it, I hope it's clear enough for you guys, but evenly spaced out, I think that can give a really nice, neat effect. But some people want to avoid that completely, and instead make one rights and make one lefts. So this one here, as I say, I always forget which one is which, but this one here are, so that's a make one right. Yeah, so this strand here is pointing off to the right hand side, and then over on this side I did the opposite, and this strand here is pointing over to the left, kind of up and towards the left. So I'll show you how to do those. They can be really nice for shaping, for things like toes. I've actually got the toe of a, no, I haven't actually. Speaking rubbish, I was going to show you the toe of a sock, but no, I'm decreasing that one instead of increasing. Okay, so to make one right, first of all, make one right, we're lifting up this strand between the two stitches. So we're going to lift this up and pop it on to the needle like that. And this leg here, we're going to put the needle through the front of there, and that's a make one right. I'll knit that again. Oh, Shona's saying, I'm preferring Continental knitting but still practicing the purl. Yeah, I definitely took longer to master purl stitches. Okay, so I'm going to make one right again. So I'm going to lift this strand up, pop it onto my needle with this front leg of the stitch this way. And you'll see why in a sec when I show you the opposite way for the make one left. There we go, and that's us created an extra stitch. And the make one left, let me knit a few extra ones. So to make one left, I'm lifting this strand up between the two stitches, but I'm going to pop it on the needle this way. so that that front leg is now leaning over to the right hand side, and I'm going to knit through the back of it. And really all that we're doing is twisting this strand. But you can see this one here, the little crisscross goes this way, and on this one the crisscross goes the opposite way. I hope that's clear enough for everyone. I personally find make one left's easier. So that's usually if a pattern will say just increase a stitch, and it doesn't say how to do that, then I always like this option because I find it easier to do. I'm just knitting through the back of that one than the make one right, because sometimes when I'm trying to work into there, because I'm naturally like pulling on that strand, it's quite hard to get your needle into. What I sometimes have to do is just with my finger, I'm just rolling that around to release that a little bit, make it a little bit looser to do a make one right. And when they're done in pattern placement, in proper written patterns, they can be really, really effective. They're almost invisible to see, and they can give a really nice, neat effect. Let me lay this out flat to show you. Yeah, so when you get, usually your increases will all follow the same column, and what you'll find is you'll get a really nice neat line, and then the new stitches that have been created, like here and here, will all follow on that line. I know I've kind of whizzed through a lot of that, and you'll be able to watch this back. I will put the times on it so that you can fast forward through all my rambling and you can find the bits that you really want. But hopefully that will give you an idea of how to increase and decrease your knitting that completely changes the shape of a flat piece of work. I did show you this hat, and I think we'll do a kind of modified, simplified version of this, just with a little bit of rib at the bottom, some straight knitting, some straight stocking stitch, and then some shaping along the top. So it'll be a little baby hat that we'll work on next week. And what we'll do is I'll have a little pattern written up. I'll put it in the notes, in the comments, and that way you can follow and try and decipher the pattern abbreviations that sometimes come up. And we'll also, and this one I think has been knitted in the round, which I think we're going to do another one. We'll do another week. But when you've knitted a hat flat and you've created shape, when you come to knit those two edges together like that, I wanted to demonstrate mattress stitch, which gives you almost an invisible seam. So that will be next week. Following a hat pattern, putting all of the principles that we've learned already into practice. I don't know if I can scroll back through comment. Yeah, here I can. I noticed, Maggie, you had a comment. Was wondering if you'll be doing short rows as well. Yeah, I can do. Short rows is probably another level in advance, but we can definitely add that to the list and continue to do these lives. So if you do have any requests or anything that you want to ask me and you want me to demo, then we can certainly cover them in future topics. More than happy to do that. It's a nice way for us just to keep in touch, and it's nice to see people's progress and get pictures of what they've learned, and yeah, just pass some time, isn't it? We're all a little bit fed up now, especially with the snow, although the kids are loving it, so I can't complain. And we've got no schooling for the next few days, which is great. I hope you've all enjoyed that, and I will be back 2 o'clock next Friday. See you later.